Two middle-aged men in Cleveland, Ted Klopp, Ken Dworsnik, episode 121. Ted, no jersey numbers today.
No?
I enjoy that we do not talk before the show. I want to throw a curveball at you, and I actually were looking for some advice from yourself as well as our listening audience. Here's my dilemma. This is what I've been dealing with for quite a while.
Oh, boy.
I want to talk about one thing and one thing only. Tipping.
Tipping, okay.
Tipping. I'm going to explain a situation. You tell me how I handle this.
Okay.
I've gone to recently Guardians games. I went to a Browns game, as I mentioned. And in the past, I've gone to some Cavs games. I also, as many people know, one of my favorite things to do is eat and drink. So when you do eat and drink, obviously you have to tip, which you completely understand it. I think the people that work in the back of the kitchen, the front of the restaurant, all that, I think everybody should be taken care of.
Right.
I think that's how it works. When I go to events, a lot of times I'll eat dinner before I go. So either I'll stop at a restaurant or I'll eat at home. My philosophy is if I go somewhere and if someone makes my food for me and I sit down and they bring it to me and they bring me beverages, I tip them. That's what I do. I usually tip. My average is about 20%. That's what I do. I've just done that for a long time, kind of learned that from my parents. That's kind of the number they've always done. And I do that unless there's something unforeseen, which most times, if there is, it's not the server's fault. Okay. When I go to Guardians games and when I go to the Browns games and the Cavs games, a lot of times all I'm basically going to get is some sort of beverage, either a soft drink or possibly, I know this is going to be surprising, a beer.
Libation.
So, yes. So when I recently have gone to the Guardians games, this is my best example. I'll go in line. I get a beer for myself. I get one from Awen. And right now, they really want you to do everything by card. So they want you to use a debit card, use a credit card. They really want you to do that. They don't really, you could pay cash if you want, but they don't really want you doing that. Right. It makes life easier. So now when you pay, and by the way, the beer usually that I get is, I don't get draft beer. Usually I just get the canned beer. I stand in line. I tell the gentleman what I want. He takes the cans out. They open them, which is their rule, and he hands them to me.
Okay.
On the credit card thing, before you even check out, they want to know what percentage of tip you want to give that person. Here's my question. With someone that prepares something for me, my best example is when I go to Cool Beans in Medina with my daughter, whoever, they make a sandwich. Okay. Do I tip those people? Yes, because they've made me a sandwich. There's times I've gone to Cool Beans where I just have my refill cup and I give them my $2 and I get my coffee and I move on. So I don't really tip. In a situation where someone basically opens your beer, pulls it from a cooler, hands it to you, you take that beer and you're going to walk away. I'm not saying I know the answer. I guess I'm asking for advice. Do you tip that person or not?
I do not.
That's kind of the dilemma I've been going through. So one of the previous Guardians games I went to, I basically had the same situation. I did not tip the person that handed me the two beers. And I can tell you this, the person standing on the other side of the register looked at me like I had 15 heads. I ordered two beers and I'm like, is this where we're at? Once again, I really do believe in the service industry. I believe me, those people work very hard. I know it's not easy for what some of these people do at some of these games, but am I expected to tip somebody for opening a beer for me? I mean, that I'm not opening a tab and I'm just grabbing two beers and I'm walking away. Once again, I'm not trying to diminish anything. I'm looking for answers. I don't know that. Maybe I don't know the right answer. Maybe I'm supposed to tip, but I haven't been doing that.
Cracking open a beer to me is not service. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm wrong in some people's minds, but I don't know. I think you got to do a little bit more than 1 second worth of work to earn a tip.
And even some of the food stuff, like in specific, I'm not talking about restaurants. This is not about restaurants. This is about venues. If you're at a
Right.
concert, if you're at a ball game,
Right.
if someone once again prepares food for me, I will tip. But if I'm just getting drinks, I don't know. I don't know. I guess it kind of bothered me with the gentleman looking at me and maybe the expectation because maybe other people do. And I mean, if I ordered 6 beers and the guy got them to me quickly, all right, yeah, I might feel differently. But
Right.
just 2 beers in a line where, you grab them out of cooler and you hand it to me and move along. I don't know. Listeners, let me know if I'm way off base, but to me, it doesn't seem like you should be going that route. I don't know.
I agree. By the
That's
way,
my dilemma.
number 21, Gerald Wilkins.
Oh gosh, wasn't he a fan favorite? Weren't we
Gerald-
all excited when we were going to get him? We thought we were going to win the championship with Gerald Wilkins,
That's
the brother
right.
of Dominique. We were so excited.
And
Didn't really work out that way. Was a decent player. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't a fish, but yeah, he was not. Yeah.
maybe the best cab to wear 21, maybe Gerald Wilkins. I can't think of anybody else right now.
I can't.
Best Brown that I can think of to wear 21, at least in my lifetime.
Yes.
Metcalf up the middle.
3rd down and long. Metcalf up the middle. Was probably the best, outside of Josh Cribbs, the best returner I've ever seen.
Yeah. And in baseball, you got to go with the human rain delay.
Oh my gosh. Touch every part of your body. He couldn't play now.
I was just going to say, what would he do with the pitch clock?
Oh my God. I think a lot of these guys that did play, they talk about the game change and all that stuff. I don't know how some of these guys would react. Thinking about even like a guy like Pete Rose and all this stuff where they would take a ton of time between pitches. They'd have to adapt. I'll say that. They'd have to adapt. Classic.
Anything else we want to cover? Any other news or notes or anything?
No, fantasy football is coming up. Can't wait to
Yeah.
lose. So we
Yeah.
got that going for us, which is nice. I can't wait for the football season to start. I mean, I'm excited, but I'm so tired of hearing about preseason football and talking about a kicker. I can't. I'm having a hard time listening to my favorite stations talking
Yeah.
sports. I
Yeah.
can't do it anymore. There's nothing to talk about now.
Cade York or bust.
Oh,
That's all I got to say.
how about in the game this past week? Had the fake injury. Did you hear about this?
The fake injury?
Yeah, on the kick, he kind of got bumped, so then he
Yeah.
pretended as though he hurt his ankle. He didn't.
I didn't see it. Okay.
Oh yeah, it was classic. It was a good
Okay.
soccer move.
Okay.
It was a
All
good
right.
soccer move.
By the way, before we move on, want to say thanks for the memories to the great Bob Barker. I can't
Yes.
tell you how many days home from school sick were spent watching The Price is Right.
100% correct. It's just he was. I mean, obviously a national treasure, but that guy was unbelievable. And he's the first one to ever bring up, at least that I remember, taking care of your dogs to get them
Yeah.
spayed or neutered.
Absolutely.
He's big believer of that. Yeah, he was. He was an icon. I mean, let's be honest.
99.
Unbelievable.
Can you believe that he got as close as you can to 100 without going over?
I know somebody posted that the other day after he passed. That is just classic. Yeah, he certainly somebody you'll never forget.
Nope, not at all. He's one of a kind. Coming up on this show, a pilot flies across the globe for a rescue. A Cleveland talk show host doesn't know where East Palestine is. And the results of the T-Rex World Championship are in. We've all got all that. With Kid Talk, Cleveland sports history, and more coming up.
And now, a woman's perspective.
How do you get a man to stop biting his nails? Make him wear shoes.
This has been a woman's perspective.
Ted, as always, we have some good news. An American Airlines pilot from Dallas helped rescue a lost doll. Oh, that's cool. 9-year-old Valentina of Texas had the doll with her on a family trip to Indonesia. The doll was last seen on a plane in Tokyo where the family had a layover. The family contacted the airline and posted about it on Facebook. That's where pilot James Dannon found out about it. Dannon reached out to the Turkish Airlines, lost and found at the Haneda airport in Tokyo and was able to locate the doll named Beatrice. That's what I would name my doll, Beatrice. He personally escorted the doll across the globe, snapping photos for Valentina at various airports along the way. Dannon delivered Beatrice to Valentina in person. That's a great story. That's very, very cool.
Yeah. And everybody knows, anybody that's had a little kid knows that there's that one toy, and God forbid you lose that one toy. Oh my gosh, that's the end of the world.
I would love to take time, and I love this story, but one part that jumps out to me, I would love to see the Turkish Airlines Lost and Found. What do you think that looks like? I bet
What
you
else
that
is
is
in
a
there?
collection of stuff you'd never seen anywhere else. That'd be
I
cool.
agree. I agree.
Ted, that was some good news. Time for Kids Talk. It's the opportunity to talk to younger people talking about sports, specifically Cleveland sports. And we are joined today by the Cleveland kid, Colin Forgotch, and a special guest today, Riley Dworznik. I think we'll nickname you Mr. B. How does that sound? Does that work for you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Outstanding. Well, gentlemen, we basically have approached the fall season when we record this. It is the end of August, approaching September. That means football season's upon us. And the Cleveland Browns are playing their last preseason game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and will be starting the season very soon against the Cincinnati Bengals. I wanted to get both of your thoughts after you've seen some preseason games and what you've heard from practices and what you've read. Wanted to get your thoughts. Colin, we'll start with you. What's your expectations of the Cleveland Browns?
I think we look great. I think for sure that we can come out of the gates hot against Kansas City, and then also just against in the regular season. I think we look great right now. DTR is playing great, and that shows me if Watson doesn't work out in the long term, we have DTR that can grow as a quarterback as he gets older. Our future is we have a very young team. We look very good. I've called it since the draft. I think that DTR will be a very good quarterback. And I think going into this last preseason game, I think we're probably not going to play a lot of our starters. Well, actually, probably not any at all. But I think that we'll definitely play pretty decent. And if we can play pretty good against the Chiefs, I think that's pretty good sounding. That we have a pretty good decent team. And I'm really excited to see how it works in the regular season.
I agree. Riley, what's your thoughts of what you've seen so far from the Cleveland Browns?
I pretty much agree with everything Colin said. I mean, I think we could be pretty good in the regular season. I mean, maybe even Super Bowl contenders. And I think our defense can be pretty good. And if Deshaun plays like he was in Houston, I mean, our offense could be pretty good too.
One more question for you guys about the Browns. Obviously, you've seen the strengths. You talked about the defense. Obviously, you're excited about DTR, and obviously, we'll see what Deshaun Watson. Riley, we'll start with you on this question. Any concerns you have going into the season, or any specific positions you're concerned about, or anything like that as the season approaches?
Probably our kicker. I mean, he didn't look too good in the other preseason games.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Colin, your thoughts?
I think Riley definitely hit that on all cylinders. I mean, I think struggling with that, and I think it's just like we need to give him more of like a break, I feel like. I mean, like he's a brand new kicker. He played amazing in college. I just think like if we just let him settle in, and I think he'll be great. And I saw this thing on TikTok that it shows Bajorquez, our punter and a holder, is notoriously known for his kicker missing so many kicks. When you look at Matt Crosby for the Packers, and he was lights out until Bajorquez came in and held for him. Like, I don't know if it's holding problem or what, but whenever he comes in, he struggled as their kicker struggled.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. That's a really good point, Colin. Well, I guess, gentlemen, as we approach the season, a little bit of a concern. Obviously, we're playing our last preseason game, and then we have 2 weeks left. To the best of your knowledge, I'm not looking for a full record, but what do you think for wins for the Browns? How many wins can they get? Colin, we'll start with you.
10-7, 11-6. I've thought that since the draft. I mean, especially looking at our schedule. I mean, going from win, loss. I think definitely it's about 10-7, 11-6. I mean, we have a decent schedule. I mean, it's not easy, but it's not hard. I think we could definitely get games done. It's just there's a lot of hard games in there. like Bengals even playing them twice is not always fun. I mean, our division being hard, it's really hard to predict like anything. So I'm saying like 11-6.
All right, 11-6. Riley, what's your thoughts?
I agree with what Colin was saying, but I think it's possible we could go like 12-5 too, because I mean we play pretty good against the Bengals, and I don't know if Joe Burrow is going to play in the first game in the home opener.
I was just going to say there's some questions on that. I guess the other thing that I guess I'll bring up to both of you is, obviously the team has changed, but I think the biggest addition that the team has had is the addition of some coaches. You have a special teams coach that really seems like they know what they're doing. And I think the best acquisition has been Jim Schwartz, who's the defensive coordinator. I think that's why you're seeing some differences on defense. You agree, Riley?
I think the pass rush could be pretty good with Darius Smith and Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett could even get like 20 sacks this year because now he's not going to be triple teamed all the time.
That's a great point. Colin, any final thoughts on the Browns?
No, I think I'm just adding on to what I've said the entire time. I think we will be very high. I think we will be a pretty decent contender this year.
Let's move on to another sport, Major League Baseball. I don't know if we have a lot to talk about. The Cleveland Guardians, well, I think it's kind of some surprising moves, and overall kind of made sense that they kind of relinquished some of their salary, getting rid of Josh Bell. They got rid of Aaron Savali, and then obviously Rosario. I guess, Riley, we'll start with you. It's kind of tough. Obviously, they've had some good young players. You've had the opportunity to go to some games, but what's your thoughts right now on the Cleveland Guardians for the rest of this season and moving into next season?
No, I just think they just have to learn from their mistakes. I mean, they're a young team, and I mean, they got a bright future ahead. I don't really see them making the playoffs this year, even though they're still in it. But
I agree. Colin, your thoughts?
I think we made some actually great moves. I think the players that we lost were definitely needed. I think we needed to get rid of Savali. I think we definitely needed to get rid of Ahmed Rosario. Couldn't hit for his life. We're still a struggling team, especially with our bats, and we won't make the playoffs this year. Highest is the wild card.
I would agree. It's going to take a lot for them to do that. I know the White Sox have kind of waved the white flag as they didn't make much moves and they traded a bunch of players. Then they just recently fired their GM and their manager. So obviously they're trying to make some plays. Minnesota is obviously the best team in the division. They have great pitching. They just can't hit, but who knows? But it is kind of exciting to watch them as we record this broadcast. They're coming off a victory against the Dodgers, who are, let's be honest, probably the best team in baseball. So they show some strides. Their bullpen, I think, has been pretty good. It just comes down to hitting. You got Jose Ramirez, but your best hitter has been sitting for a while in Josh Naylor. So some things to figure out. Any final thoughts, Riley, on the Guardians?
No, not really. I just think we have a bright future ahead.
Fair enough,
Colin.
Colin.
Yeah, I agree with the moves that we made. I think they were good moves to like get younger and stuff like that.
No, I agree. Colin?
I think we have high hopes, but not much to say. I mean, I just think our season's just been a struggle.
Let's move on to the sport that I think that both of you enjoyed the most, which would be NBA basketball, Cleveland Cavaliers. Colin's been a little while since we've talked to you. We kind of had a discussion about making moves and bringing in players. And boy, the Cavs certainly did that. And I think many people know the different names that they brought in. Colin, we'll start with you. What's your thoughts of the offseason? I mean, the additions that they have of obviously multiple small forwards and things like that. What do you think about the acquisitions?
I think I'm very happy with everything that we did. Every move that we had to make was really good. And I think Max Struss was our biggest move. He's obviously a shooting guard. If you need to put him at small forward, he can because he's so tall. I think so. If Garland is like tired, throw him at guard. Or even Mitchell, but then if we need a small forward, because that's always been our struggle, a small forward, we can put him at small forward. He's very versatile.
I would agree. Riley, what's your thoughts of the acquisitions? And I guess the second part to my question, I'll ask you this first. Talk about the acquisitions, what you thought, and is there another part of the team that still needs to improve?
I think all of our all of the guys that we got were pretty good. I just wish that maybe we could like bring in a veteran on a minimum deal that brings experience to this team, like has playoff or maybe even finals experience.
Sure. Is there a particular position you'd like to see that person at? Or do you feel like they need a post guy, another guard? What do you think?
I don't know, maybe another. We don't really have depth at power forward besides Dean Wade, but maybe point guard. I don't know.
Colin, what's your thoughts? Any other parts of the team that you think need to improve?
I definitely have to say a big man. I think we need a big man that has finals experience because Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, how young they are. Sometimes we need somebody, especially somebody more that can play bully ball. I think our big men are too nice, especially Jared Allen. I think we need somebody like a Julius Randle type that they doesn't care. Like you can see when we played them in the playoffs, he was so much more just had a fire in him compared to like Mobley or Jared Allen. Like, oh, we need somebody like that, especially that has experience in the playoffs and the finals.
Riley, I'll throw this to you. So there's been obviously many different trade offers that have been talked about, or rumors, I should say. The one is a very interesting one. I want to get your thoughts. You guys know the players better than I. PJ Walker, who I believe plays for the Hornets, would be a trade that's been proposed for Okoro. Would you make that move?
I would say no. I think Okoro's younger, and I think Okoro's definitely evolving. I could see where we could make that trade, but personally, I would rather have Okoro on my team.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Colin, I guess. I mean, his perimeter defense, I think, is better. We need perimeter defense. So yeah, I agree with Colin.
I would agree because unfortunately I feel bad for Okoro. He's he was put in this role to kind of score. He's not a scorer. He's a guy who's going to defend one of the best either small forwards or off guards or whatever. And then they got him in the corner trying to shoot threes. That's not his game. I don't know. If they're going to continue to use him that way, then they might as well trade him. All right, gentlemen. Well, great information on Cleveland sports. I need an update from both of you now on your school activities. Colin, we'll start with you. What activities, tell us the grade you're in now, and what activities that you got going on in the fall, and tell us your sports schedule.
So I'm in 7th grade. I don't have a lot right now besides just starting school and have football. I'm going to be starting lacrosse up right after football season, like practices and stuff and workouts. But yeah, I'm not doing much right now in the fall, just hanging out, going to football games, playing football games.
Very nice. Riley, how about you?
Yeah, nothing's really going on right now. I mean, we've just started learning everything in school.
Tell our listeners at home what grade you're in.
I'm in sophomore right now.
Nice, very nice. Activities outside of school.
I'm doing cross country
Very nice. What's your next event?
this Saturday, I think.
Taking in some Glen Oak, I believe, is what you're doing. Colin, you have a game coming up very soon, do you not? Or scrimmage or something, correct?
Yeah, I do. I actually, it's at 6. I have a game coming up very soon. So in like an hour and a half, my game starts. So
And I know the listeners at home would like to know this. What position are you playing on the football field?
I
All of them at
play-
the same time, or what? What do you got going?
Play offensive tackle, and then I play D tackle and D end.
Outstanding. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for the time. I guess we'll leave it with one last question. For the fall sports season, something that gets you most excited, is there a specific sport, particular player you're looking forward to seeing? What is it? Riley, we'll start with you.
I enjoy going to the football games. I think they're a lot of fun to watch.
High school, college, pro?
High school.
High school. Following the Medina Bees, coming off a victory. Exciting. Colin, how about you?
I'd have to agree with that. Football. I mean, just watching every level. I mean, going to high schools, football games, go there every Friday. I mean, depending on if it's St. John's or St. Francis, my future high schools, or just watching Ohio State or watching the Browns or whatever. I mean, I just enjoy watching football.
I cannot believe that no one answered Ashland University. What's going on, man? Nobody could say
That was-
Ashland. I'm the only one that's watching this. Understandable.
Maybe.
Gentlemen, thanks for catching up with us. We really appreciate it. We'll be doing this very soon as we go later in the fall to talk about how the Browns are doing, to wrap up the Guardian season, and also do another preview of the Cavs. Colin, Riley, enjoy the fall. Study hard. Get good grades. That's what we're asking for.
I will.
Said we're out and about Northeast Ohio. Yeah, strictly Northeast Ohio. We didn't get out of the area. I had a work trip to go to Indiana, but there's really not much to talk about there. Really a small out and about. I was in the Canton area for one of Riley's cross-country meets, which I think I talked about this last year. I feel like a broken record. Glen Oak High School. Holy cow. That might be one of the nicest high schools I've ever seen. It looks like a college campus. So we were out there. This weekend, kind of laid low, just watched some football, but we did go to Mellow Mushroom in the fine town of Rocky River. We took in a wonderful pizza, a couple cocktails, saw some really odd behavior, but that's all we're going to talk about. So,
Okay.
That's
some
it.
odd behavior.
Odd behavior. And then obviously did some praying at one of your favorite parishes, St. Bernadette, with one of your favorite priests, Father Phil Rocco. So getting ready for the Heart and Harvest, Ted. Big
No,
fundraiser for the church. We're getting ready. We're going to do some volunteer time. We're ready to rock. It's the weekend of the 16th. So get ready.
Hey.
Get ready.
big.
So, which I think the part I'm most excited about, which should be really interesting, each night they have karaoke for an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What can we do to get Father Phil to karaoke?
I don't know. I think that's a great call. He does like a lot of the 50s and 60s music, but yeah, I think that's a great combination. Of course, they also have the Great Lakes beer truck. So I'm thinking that the people that go to the beer truck are going to be requested to do some karaoke. So it should be a lot of fun. We had a blast last year. So
I know it's not necessarily a 50s or 60s song, but you get Father Phil to sing My Way.
Oh gosh, I think
Done.
I'm over that. Oh yeah,
Done.
classic.
Well,
Classic.
Ken, we went out of the area.
Ooh, love it.
We went to Pittsburgh. My son, my
Oh.
oldest son, I know, I'm sorry. He's a Steelers fan. I think
Well,
it happened just to spite me. But, we have fun with it, but whatever. He wants to root for the Steelers, great. So we went, and I got to tell you, we had a great time.
I bet you did.
Super stadium,
Yes.
super nice.
Was it just the two of you who went? The whole family, or?
Me, Fritz, and Gus.
Oh, awesome. Nice.
So, yeah. Hans is not a big football guy, so we let him stay. But got there early, walked around the stadium a little bit. This is for a preseason game against the Bills. Walked around the stadium a little bit and let him go in the team shop and get a souvenir, watch the game, and oh my gosh, Fritz was in heaven. It was great.
Awesome.
And
I love that stadium.
Yeah.
Because you know what they have around it, Ted? Places to eat and drink. Right?
What?
They don't have a lake sitting right there.
Oh my gosh. What an idea.
Oh,
places to eat and drink. Who would have thunk it? Now, the highlight for me came well before we got there when I explained to both of the boys that we are not going to say, hey, we're from Cleveland. Hey, my dad and my brother are Browns fans. We're not going to do that.
Yep.
And they were like, why? And I said, it's not just at a Steelers game, but at any NFL game. You find fans that are from the rival team, and depending on who you're near and their libation level, things can go south in a hurry.
Yep.
So we're all for the Steelers. And as I'm explaining this and saying that, you can look on YouTube and see fights, the look on my middle son's face, his eyes just got bigger and bigger and bigger as he's hearing me tell this. Mm-hmm. So when we go to leave, he's got his Pittsburgh Penguins shirt on, Penguins hat. They give me a Steelers hat to wear.
Nice.
And he says like 5 times, I'm just here to get along. I'm just here to get along. I'm just here to get along.
I love that. I'm here to get along. That's great.
So we did that. Then we also, so that we're equal, we went to the Browns training camp.
Nice.
Yeah. Parked nearby. I think we paid $10 to park in somebody's lawn, whatever. Walked in, it's free. Again, got some souvenirs. Watched them practice. It's open seating, or it was open seating, and it was hot. That was the only, it was really like, if it had been a game, probably would have been a little bit more excited, but you're watching a practice.
It's practice. Yeah.
And so after, we're there for like, 45 minutes. And Gus, who's the Browns fan, he's on the edge of his seat watching the whole thing. And Fritz has his head down and he's like, it's hot. I want to leave. We're done. and then they had Greg Pruitt there signing autographs.
Oh, cool.
And so Gus got mini helmet. And, they were going to try to get players to sign it. And I'm like, guys, I just don't want you to be disappointed. There may be 0 player signings.
Right.
0.
Yeah.
They're like, okay. And I'm like, Gus, we could go get Greg Pruitt's autograph if you want. I know you don't know who he is, but he was a great running back in the 70s. And I don't know if he was around in the early 80s or not. But,
I think it was, a little bit. Yeah. Then he went to the
first
Raiders.
he was like, no. And then he's like, yeah, let's go. So we go, and Fritz comes with us, and we get up there, and I'm not an autograph guy.
Yeah.
Nor am I a photo guy. You've never met this person. They're famous. You stood next to him for 2 seconds and took a picture.
100% correct.
Don't be
Yep.
fizz.
I get it. Yep.
So I walked up, I shook his hand, and I said, hi, Mr. Pruitt. I said, I remember you. I grew up watching you play. These guys don't, but my son would like your autograph. And he says, come on, man, Google me. You got to Google me.
That's great.
So we got that autograph, and we did get one other. We got Chomps.
You got Chomps.
Got
That's
Chomps.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
So the only
That's
autographs
cool.
that the players gave out, they did some first 50 kids to scan some QR codes.
Yeah.
You can get a thing, and those were the only kids that got on.
That's awesome.
So we had a great time.
That's awesome. Well, here's my question.
Yes.
I went to camp. It was a long time ago, specifically in football. Isn't it just crazy to see the size of some of those guys?
They're
person?
huge.
It's
Oh my God.
unbelievable.
Miles Garrett was on the sideline near us, and he looked like he could have. He was 2 or 3 times the size of just the camp workers.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Huge human beings, no doubt.
Unbelievable. You'll appreciate this. We're sitting, and there was like a light post in front of us where we sat down. And most of the folks who were there, at least where we were, are old enough to get this. We sit down, and there's the post there, and I said, oh man, feels like old Municipal Stadium. And my kids have no idea what I'm talking about. Everybody around me laughs.
20,
So,
10, light pole, 5. Oh, yeah, that's classic. That is really funny.
so we had a great time.
What a great way to end your summer, Ted. That's really
Yep.
cool.
That was the day before school started.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Yeah, that's probably some time they'll never forget. That's pretty
Yep.
cool. Well, Ted, thanks for being out and about, supporting your local teams in Northeast Ohio. I did the best I could with eating and drinking. Obviously, we'll do much more as we move on here in 2023.
The most trusted name in journalism, Klopp's Clips.
All right, Ken, here we go. Some news and notes that you may not have heard about. A dad says he dislikes parties and large gatherings is under fire. His son recently got married, and the reception was for about 150 people. Dad says he told his son ahead of time that he would probably leave the reception early. And he says that his son, quote, looked like he didn't mind at the time. So, come to the big day at the ceremony. When it was over, Dad told son, "Hey, ceremony looked great. I'm out. I'm leaving." Son asked if he was going to stay at least for cake. Dad didn't think the food looked good, so he said he was going to leave. Dad's wife, Mom, didn't want to stay alone and leave alone, so she left with him. A couple days later, the bride is now sending messages expressing disgust that they would leave. Thoughts?
Well, they're certainly set in their ways. I mean, the guy wants good cake and good food. If it's not there, I don't care if this is my kid's wedding or not. I'm out.
Fine. It's the wedding. You can't. I mean, give me a
Sometimes
break.
people cannot
Ugh.
think of the situation and just
Yep.
say, well, this is more important than anything else. And
This is
yeah,
bigger than me.
pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that is, I must say, it's the kind of jackasses of the week, huh? Is that where we're at? Jeez.
right. Well, we have the 14th annual Philly Naked Bike Ride. Is that where you were this weekend?
No, I didn't have a chance.
Okay. All right. Was your wife out of town mysteriously by any chance?
No, I don't
It
think
was
so.
fine. Okay. Well, it was this weekend. The idea or its build to promote cycling as a key form of transportation and fuel conscious consumption. Now, it's also meant to encourage body positivity. Organizers say participants aren't required to ride completely in the buff, but they can, quote, get as bare as you dare.
Oh, bare as you dare.
As bare as you
I
dare.
don't.
That seems
I
like
think
it'd
I'd be a
be-
one and done at that race because I think they would confuse me with Sasquatch. So I don't think it would work.
There's nothing about that appeals to me.
I mean, boy, it'd be tough to sit on the seat, huh? I mean,
that's what. Yeah, I mean, how are we
Wow.
doing this?
Unless you're wearing like a loincloth or something. I
Well-
mean, that's just odd.
I mean, if I'm sitting in the back of one of those things where you got the bench and the guy in front of you is doing
Yeah.
the pedaling,
Yeah.
okay, maybe.
By the way, in some of those situations, keep your head down. You don't want to
Yeah.
lift your head to see what's ahead.
Right. There's nothing.
No, you don't want to see that.
Let's be frank here. Actually, I'll be Ted.
Perfect.
The majority of people, you don't want to see them naked.
Right.
You just that's not.
It's when people hear about these nudist places that they have all throughout the world.
Ugh.
I mean, it's not Tom Cruise walking around
No,
there.
no,
okay?
no. Cindy Crawford isn't there.
More of the beer belly types like
Yeah.
myself. So
Yeah. Hey, in sports, the 2023 T-Rex World Championships were held at Seattle's Emerald Downs about 10 days ago. The event started in 2017 as a pest control company's team building activity. This year, there were 200 people or more than that competing. Now, the T-Rex World Championships, these people were running down a live horse racing track in inflatable dinosaur costumes.
this is outstanding.
This year's event ended in a photo finish.
Oh,
It was all over. Ocean Kim of Hawaii hit the wire just ahead of Deno the Dino of Idaho and Rex Ray Machine of Washington. There you go.
that's exciting.
Did
Congrats.
you have Kim to win, Dino to place, and Rex
I
Ray
had
to go?
I had an exacta box, so I
Okay.
was I was a
Okay.
guaranteed winner.
Okay. What was the take home on that?
Close your eyes and what do you see?
Okay, that's
Exactly.
what I thought. I'm Ted Klopp. That's news to me.
Blah blah blah.
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 Our guest today is part of the Cleveland Gaming Classic. It's coming back in just a few weeks, and we're going to learn all about it today. So let's talk with Tom Jenkins. Tom, the Cleveland Gaming Classic. What is this?
Yeah, it's nice to meet you guys. Yeah, the Cleveland Gaming Classic is really everything, all games and nerd culture. So if you're talking to me, that's what I like to talk about. So, but no, it's a weekend of really everything gaming, nerd culture. It's a great convention, and we're at the IX Center this September.
It's super exciting. Yeah, Tom, I had the opportunity to look at the site, and obviously I'm going to certainly try to find my way to get there with all the different activities you have of the ability to play pinball, old video games, things like that. I have to ask this question from the start. So I went to the leadership page and saw your name there. And I don't know, please tell me how I get this title, founder and final boss. I want that title real bad. I need to find a way to have that title. What do I need to do that?
I mean, you've got to basically spend 13 years of your life like trying to create a video game convention, I feel like, So, we try to keep it pretty light and low key, and I try to keep things professional but also fun, right? That's we're like, okay, founder and what? Okay, final boss. Sure, it's video game related, right? So
Yeah,
gotta
absolutely.
keep it fun. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was so cool. I had to ask you about that. But obviously, talk about the history of this gaming classic. Obviously, you guys are moving to the IX Center, a huge venue. Obviously, you have a very, very big following. But how did this whole thing start?
Yeah, so it started, I don't even know, probably we moved back, my wife and I, we used to live in California. We're Cleveland natives. Just she grew up in Brooklyn, I grew up in Westlake, and we moved back to Cleveland in 2008. And I had always had a bunch of guys over, used to come over and play Tecmo Super Bowl, the original Nintendo Entertainment System, or the NES. So we developed, there was this really small group of guys, like 6 or 8 guys to start. And we used to call the group we used to call them, actually first, we called them like the Tecmo Super Bros. And then it evolved to Tecmo Cleveland. And then it just became like this annual get together at what was my house living room. Then we broke a couple chairs that I got in trouble with that were our kitchen chairs, and one cracked one year. And then we went to the basement. We had like 40 some people in my basement one year, and I had projectors up. I had probably like 8 CRT tubes in our basement. And then we eventually, I can still remember, like, I rented the VFW hall in Avon Lake on Walker Road. I think it's on Walker, right? And I remember like writing the check for renting that VFW hall, which was like a couple $100. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Like, doing a Tecmo tournament there. And then we eventually then added an NBA Jam, and we called it Tecmo Jam Cleveland. And then we ended up at Wagner's of Westlake, which, if you guys know Wagner's, it's like a wedding event center. And they're like,
Yep.
what are you guys doing? You're going to bring a bunch of people here to play video games? Like, what's going on? So we booked the entire Wagner's of Westlake event center. Then COVID hit. We did it online for charity. And then we came back to Wagner's, and it was just a zoo. Like, I mean, our numbers and the attendance and people waiting in line, we just knew we had to move out. So then I think, yeah, last year we did Wagner's. I don't remember if we did Wagner's 2 times. But then we ended up at the IX Center last year, which was our first time there, and it was amazing. So we're coming back again this year. So that is the abridged history, if you will.
Now, at this event, what all can people do? It looks like there are speakers, there's opportunity to play games, talk with gamers. What all will we experience when we come to this event?
Yeah, I mean, it's all of that. We focus a lot on playing games, is the one thing we've set from the beginning. Is, like, I've always been kind of a collector of video games, arcade games, pinball, whatever. But one of the things that we like to do differently at our show is that it's good to like collect things and buy things, but we also want people to stay and like play games, right? The whole reason we do these things is that way we can have these types of conversations and remember, what it used to be like playing at your friend's house or getting together, whether it was in high school or in your college dorm, right, to relive those memories. So a lot of what you can experience is just playing games. Like you were talking about, arcade games, pinball machines. We bring in all the retro consoles, all the old tube TVs. And we bring really some rare experiences you won't see anywhere else. Then we also have some stuff we haven't still even announced this year, but it all kind of vibes off of everything retro, So there's just a lot to do. There's so much to do.
Tom, I think the part that's really impressive, I obviously want to let our listeners know, is that you put this event on, but also you make it a charity event as well, is that you've raised almost $13,000, which is just awesome, for the United Cerebral Palsy of Greater Cleveland. That's just really, really cool. That's so neat that you guys do that. I guess
we
are the type
try
of
to give
person
back every year. Yep.
Absolutely. I think that's so cool. You're the type of person that obviously I guess I would say you're a bit of a gamer. You like video games. Is there, I guess my question is a little different. Is there someone that's coming to the event that you're most looking forward to seeing or spending time with or anything like that? I guess being in the gaming industry.
Oh man, that's a tough one. So this year we have a couple.
I apologize. So
Yeah, no, it's good. I haven't, I didn't put too much thought into that until now. So this is me stalling while I think about the answer to that
Well,
question.
let's
But
let's go
no,
back.
no, I got it. I got
Let's
it though. I got it.
okay.
I got it. So I think this year, so new this year, so I've got two boys. They're 5 and 8 years old. And, we try to do stuff that's very family friendly oriented as well. So where I'm going with this is that so we've got two of the voice actors from Pokemon this year coming, which I think is going to be super cool. Um, Again, Pokemon's interesting because it's like card game. It's obviously a tabletop card game, trading card game, video games as well. So I think that is going to be a huge hit this year. I'm super excited to meet these voice actors.
That's cool.
And then in another one, this guy, his name's Jeff Steitzer. And he's actually the original, he is the voice from Halo. So if you're familiar with Halo,
Wow.
he's done all the call outs from the original Halo 2 today. So the guy that's yelling like Slayer, double kill, triple kill, he's that guy. So he'll be there. And I think it's just gonna be one of those, you're walking by all day seeing this guy, and it's just gonna be hilarious. So
That's cool. That's really neat.
Can you ask him if he would say, "Please listen to your parents"? That's what I need.
He probably
I need
will.
the voice of God saying that.
If you slip him a 20, I bet he'll say anything.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, now this has grown. How many people are you expecting this year?
So last year we had about 8,000 people.
Holy
cow.
And that was just in one
Holy
day.
cow.
That was just on Saturday.
Wow.
So this year was our first time. I mean, we did a multi-day event years ago, but it was we were so much smaller. But this is our first time doing a multi-day event at the IX Center. So we're thinking it'll probably be between 12 and 15,000 attendees this year, which is just crazy, so it's going to be fun.
I guess you can't hold it in your basement anymore.
That's what always the joke was. And last year when we were at the IX Center, because they had a ton of construction going on, we actually were in the basement of the IX Center. So that was our whole shtick last year, was from Tom's basement to the basement of the IX Center. Like, we'll never get out of the basement. But now the construction's all done at the IX. So we are finally upstairs on the main floor. So
Tom, my last question, I know Ted has a couple others, but my question for you, you talk about all these different people that are coming in. You mentioned the gentleman before who did the voice of Halo. How do you get those people to come? How do you get them involved to be part of your the classic?
Yeah, good question. I think a lot of it is just chasing those individuals down. So fortunately enough, the social media exists now. So I've readily found that many of those people, you can just hit them up on, Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and you got to be patient, and then they'll respond, and then they'll point you to their agent. And a lot of them work with agencies. So now, again, having done this and negotiated contracts and worked through a lot of the agents for a couple of years now, many of them share the same agents or can point you to other people. But yeah, it's so funny because, again, it's kind of ridiculous, like going from the basement again to now talking to, again, they're not like A-list or B-list celebrities by any stretch of the imagination, but they're still iconic people, right? And negotiating contracts with these people, it's just really fun to see and do. So
that's so cool. Yeah,
amazing.
That's really neat.
Well, Tom, how do folks, I know you have a website, but folks want to get tickets ahead of time. They want to follow you on social media. Give us the 411 on where they can find you and the event here.
Yeah, so everything you can find is at gamecleveland.com. So that's GAME Cleveland.com. The event is September 22nd through the 24th at the IX Center. Tickets are anywhere from, I think they start at $20 for Sunday, $25 on Saturday. And then, kids under 10, like I said earlier, we're a very family friendly show. So kids 10 and under get in free, which is something unique we do too.
That's awesome.
So bring the kids. Everyone's like, oh, is it kid friendly? I'm like, yes, it 100% is super kid friendly. We do a ton of kids programming. We even have like another big part of what we do this year is tabletop gaming. I'm a big tabletop, like Dungeons and Dragons nerd guy myself. So we even have like free painting this year for kids. So that will be there. But yeah, September 22nd through the 24th. It's at the IX Center. If you haven't been, you should come. It's amazing. Friday night we have this pre-party. Saturday night we've got a concert, musical guests. I mean, it's really an entire weekend we've put together that's going to be nonstop. So
awesome, amazing. Well, best of luck, and I hope you break some more attendance records and raise some more money for a great charity.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for chatting.
Ted, we have another, I know you're surprised by this, another overachiever.
Yeah.
This one, a British man's remote-controlled jet-powered car broke a world record, and then it exploded. James Wamsley made the effort to break the Guinness World Record for the fastest speed achieved by a remote-controlled jet-powered car. He did so on the airport runway. His first attempt clocked in at 94.76 miles an hour, beat the goal of 93.2 set by Guinness. Wamsley wanted to try for a faster speed.
Okay.
The second attempt was 137 miles an hour, but the nose came off the car during the run, causing a DQ.
I hate when that happens.
Every time. And then the third attempt, he hit 141 miles an hour.
Wow.
But a strong gust of wind blew the car across the runway, and it exploded. There you go. That might be the first time we have a Guinness record where something explodes. We've had a lot of these, and that's a first. So he doesn't get credit for the, does he get, no, I guess he doesn't get credit for the 141 though.
No, I think he gets the
94.76. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, if it exploded, did it go faster than 141 when it exploded? Did it?
I guess you have to have some time after the race to make sure the car doesn't blow up. Kind of similar to like one of those eating contests we've seen. Where,
so
you got to take some time to make sure no one gets upset.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Well, Ted, an overachiever, James Wamsley, even though his car exploded, Guinness World Record.
Had nothing to show for it. Miss Speak of the Week, this one actually happened about 3 months ago, but we just found out about it. I said, we got to share this. So there's a show on YouTube. It's called the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Okay.
A bunch of local guys, local media folks are on the show. This particular segment was hosted or included Adam the Bull, G. Bush, and Tyvis Powell.
All
These
good
are
names.
all local
Good.
media talk show hosts.
Yep. They do great work.
They had golf great Annika Sorenstam on because Annika's husband is from East Palestine, Ohio. That's where the train derailed in early February that caused a big environmental problem.
Yeah.
Well, Annika was on the show to promote a charity golf outing she was holding to raise money to help with relief efforts in that area. G. Bush apparently confused East Palestine with the sovereign state of Palestine in the Middle East.
Annika, when you look at East Palestine and just, some of the things that's been going on there for years, do you think that there is, I would say, the media, and especially the sports media, does not really necessarily bring that much light to it? I think a lot of people don't kind of understand what the plight of is in East Palestine and in the Middle East in general. And do you think that, we should be talking more about the things that happen there and kind of shed light on some of the different things that are going on and people who are trying to help like yourself?
Oh my, no. Oh no. Oh, poor G. Bush. Oh,
now being the pro that she was, Annika Sorenstam just talked about East Palestine and didn't,
she didn't
he didn't bury him.
Okay.
But whoever edited this show and put it up on YouTube didn't bother to take it.
Oh man.
Now, I don't know any of these guys personally. But how about a little prep? Come on.
That certainly would help.
I mean, that's pretty disrespectful to your guest.
Yeah, I hate to say that. We can only, I don't know the situation and what all these guys do above and beyond what we hear them on the radio. So some of them have other jobs. And so for you and I, when we're interviewing people, we get the nuts and bolts, we do the background, all that kind of stuff. You have to do that. I mean, you had to know that you were going to talk about East Palestine, Ohio, and not the Middle East. I mean, there's no doubt the two connections don't seem quite the same. So have we all been there and made mistakes? Oh my gosh, yes. Have we made mistakes on the air before? Yes. But if you're going to make a mistake, make sure you're not making it because you haven't done your prep. That's for sure. So.
Make it a mistake that's unavoidable.
Right. Correct. Yes.
Wow.
Poor G. Bush.
G. Bush is the misspeak of the week.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Time for more Cleveland sports, and our Cleveland sports historian, Dusty Sloan, is with us. Dusty, August 20th, 1912. I don't really remember that, but nonetheless, Washington Senators, later Hall of Famer, Walter Johnson gets his 15th straight win as a pitcher. He beat the Cleveland Naps at the time 4-2. What can you tell us about Walter Johnson and this? That's unbelievable. 15 wins in a row by a pitcher.
Absolutely. Now, before I get to the doubleheader, I would be remiss since we're talking about August 20th. My wife's birthday is on August 20th, so happy birthday, Mandy.
Oh, there we go.
Get that out of the way.
All
so
right.
we take care of the important business here.
Yes.
But I'm looking at game one, and you talk about Walter Johnson, and obviously a Hall of Famer, one of the great pitchers of that era, that early era of Major League Baseball. He won that game that day, improved to 28-7 that year on August 20th. But the interesting thing about game one in this doubleheader is both starting pitchers in the game, for whatever reason, only faced one batter and then got removed. So Walter Johnson didn't even start the game. He came in and finished the last 8 2/3 innings pitched and gave up 2 runs, and neither of them were earned. And then for the Cleveland Naps, Bill Steen comes in after the first guy faces one batter, and he goes 7 innings of relief. So very interesting game in that first game of the doubleheader. And then the second game ends up being a no-hitter.
Yeah, I saw the no-hitter. The guy's name was Carl Cushion. Did they name seats after him? Is that where they came up with the idea of the name of the cushion from Carl?
I don't think he was that good, but
gotcha. Fair enough.
He was good enough. The second game only went 5.5 innings, so it wasn't a quote-unquote official no-hitter by today's standards in the rule book. But yeah, he took down the Naps and 6 innings, didn't give up a hit, and it was not a good day for Cleveland that day.
Seems as though the Naps took a few that day. Took a few naps.
Yeah. Yes, they did.
Well, they had Nap Lashaway at second base, but they also had Shoeless Joe Jackson in right field.
Oh, wow.
And they also had a name in left field named Buddy Ryan. Now, I'm guessing it's not Buddy Ryan.
No, I don't think it's the same guy. I don't think it's a few years.
He's old. I don't think he's that old.
No, absolutely. Dusty, I think we've had this conversation before. It'll be my last question. So when they were called the Naps, when is the last? Was this one of the last years they were called the Naps, and then they went to a different team name? Do you recall this?
Well, I'll have to kind of look it up here a little bit. I mean, they were the Naps surprisingly for quite a while. They were the Naps from 03 to 14.
Okay.
And then they became the Indians for more than a century. But yeah, they were the Naps for 12 seasons. And I think a lot of people don't realize that they were called a lot of things. The Guardians is actually the 7th different name that this franchise has had since 1894.
Wow.
But the Naps happen to be the 3rd longest moniker that the franchise had.
Oh, that's pretty wild.
On a related story, my son says to me yesterday, "Hey, did you hear about the kidnapping at school?" I said, "I hope they wake him up."
Boo!
All right,
You'll be at hilarities this week, folks.
Yep. Tip the
See you all
way
week.
the veal. Thank you, Dusty.
Anytime, guys.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Oh no, not a dad joke.
Ted, why did the Scarecrow win an award?
Oh, I don't know.
He was outstanding in his field.
That joke was horrible.
We're coming to the end of episode number 121. A lot of stuff in this show.
This was fun today.
We need a map of Ohio and
yes,
Middle East. We don't leave a wedding early just because you're afraid of crowds or you don't like the food. And
you don't get Guinness records if your car explodes, your remote control car, that is. And then we had a nice discussion about tipping. I mean, what else can you ask?
Tipping, yes. And don't forget Riley and Colin.
Oh yeah,
nice discussion as well.
The young sports guys, yeah. I like to learn from the young people.
Yes,
so
they are the future. Treat them well and let them lead the way.
Do you think they'll take our show over when we're not here anymore? What do you think about that?
Two young punks who've taken over the show in Cleveland. That's what it'll be called.
Two better looking dudes. Oh my. Well, I'm not going to ask, but I will ask, as I'm just inquisitive. How was the first day of school?
The first day of school was relatively uneventful.
Good. Happy to hear that.
How about for you?
Yeah, I mean, went off without a hitch. Obviously, Riley's been first year of high school. Maddie a little nervous because she's in 6th grade, new building, blah, blah, blah. But everything was fine. Yeah, they were tired, by the way, both of them, because we have to get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
Because the bus comes at 6:30. Come get some. So both of the children are they've found their endurance now and are used to getting up that early. But yeah, that first day, I don't think anybody at the house, and I repeat, anybody, including the dog, made it past 9 o'clock. Nobody, not a soul. Real tired.
Now, we also, since our last show, hockey has started. We've had some problems with the hockey. The first day we went, I thought I had all the equipment. I had 2 kids who were supposed to have practice at the same time, or maybe it was one right after the other. We get there and they go to get their stuff out. And my one son says, "Daddy, where's my stick?" And I said, "It's back there. It's the red one." He says, Fritz says, "No, that's Gus's." I said, "Uh-oh." And then Fritz says, "Where are my leg pads?" He's a goalie. "Where are my leg pads?" I said, "Uh-oh." And then Gus says, "Daddy, where's my bag?" And I said, "Well, it's right back there." He says, "No, that's Hans's."
Oh my.
I said, "I need to call your mother."
Oh. So nobody had their own stuff, right? Everything was screwed
up. What's that?
Nobody had the right stuff?
I screwed it up.
Oh my.
Then we had another day we had I think we were missing a sock. And then Erica took him one day and was offended, shall we say, by the odor of the equipment. Anybody who's been around hockey is familiar with that odor. And they've come up with all these sprays and such. Let's be honest, there's nothing you can do about that.
No, it stings the nostrils, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So my wife decides she wants to set the stuff outside to air out. So before I left for work on whatever day it was, Thursday or Friday, she says, "Leave this stuff in the driveway. I'll set it out." So I do that. She lays it out and takes a nap.
Okay.
Can you, for those who might not live in the area, tell everybody what kind of weather we've had recently?
It's been pretty wet.
Pretty wet.
Flooding.
So my wife lays down for a nap and is awakened by the sound of rain, thunder, and lightning. And then she has to pull in soaked hockey equipment.
Oh, man.
So it went from smelling bad to, now what do we got? Mold, maybe? So they couldn't go to hockey that night because the stuff was so wet.
Oh, gosh.
And so the ensuing couple practices, we showed up and I thought I had everything. I had no pants for the kids. Missing a sock or something because it's still downstairs, whatever. So yeah, I got it right on Saturday or Sunday. So we're getting there.
You gotta get back in the routine, man. You're out of
Yeah.
the hockey routine. You gotta get back. You'll be
Now, we
there.
also had our first football games of the year.
Oh,
The 5th graders won their game 8-0, and the 6th graders won their game 54-6.
54-6. Hey, take it easy, man. What are you running, a spread offense up 50? Holy crap.
That was
wow. 54-6. That's like watching Notre Dame and freaking Navy. Wow, you guys are tearing it up, man.
Is it bad? Are we going to get hate mail if I tell you that my wife texted me, said, who did we play? And I texted her back, the Blind Sisters of the Poor.
Oh, boy. Maybe. That's so hard. I remember those days.
I felt so bad for the other team.
Oh, it's just terrible. It's just in football, it's so hard because you don't want to run up the score, but it's hard not to because in football you have to play. If you don't play full out, then you get hurt.
Right.
Football's hard, man. That's a tough one when you have such a lopsided thing. Did they have a running clock and stuff at the end?
By the 4th quarter, they did.
Okay. Yeah, they should.
I mean, like we scored 8 touchdowns. One was an interception return.
Okay.
How are you going to stop that?
No, you can't. No.
And 4 or 5 of them were long runs.
Yeah.
I think we threw 2 passes the whole game.
Oh, okay. Well, there's
one
nothing
was
else you can do.
incomplete, and the other, we played at St. Vincent St. Mary.
Yeah.
And
nice turf field, by the way. It's nice.
Yeah. You're in Rocky River?
Yes.
You're closer than any defender was to the kid who caught the ball.
Oh, geez.
But
well, hey, exciting times. Let's see what happens. 54-6. Wow.
Come get some.
Well, they certainly beat the spread line. That's good. So next week they're going to be favored by like 45 points.
Maybe.
So, Ted, great show. Special thanks to our guests. And this time I know who it is. Tom Jenkins. Check out some gaming in the IX Center. That sounds really cool, by the way. Anybody that could talk about that started something in their basement and moves to the IX Center, hats off to them. That's D1. Dusty, Rusty Sloan, sports history, rocking and rolling as always. Very solid. Jen Brastovich giving us our calendar. God, I have to get to Geraci's. Have you been there?
No.
Oh, gosh. That pizza she talked about, I've heard about that from my brother, Tony Dorkowitz. He said, get over there and have it. So
D1, huh?
He wanted it, and he got it. Colin Forgosh, Riley Dwarsnick, good sports talk. Thank you, you fine young gentlemen. We'll have you on again. Special thanks to our wonderful listeners. We appreciate your time. Enjoy Labor Day weekend. As some people say, it's the last round of summer. Until then, when we talk, we're just 2 middle-aged men in Cleveland.
2 Middle-Aged Men in Cleveland is sponsored by Westminster AV, custom audio-visual packages for all occasions.